At what point should a woman take responsibility for her pulseless pussy and not project it at the partnership that she's in?
If you are living a life right now with a pulseless pussy, and by that I mean if your body doesn't feel online, if you feel numb, if there's no heartbeat or pulse going on, take responsibility immediately. I am the circuit breaker to the vicious cycles that keep going on. The other person is not responsible to pull the plug out of the wall and to stop this circuit of that's going on. It's me.
What is up, you beautiful human? Hello and welcome back to the Raw, Real and Vulnerable podcast with me, your host, Beck Antonucci. Are you a woman who is choosing from a place of empowerment to be single in your 30s? And maybe you're not feeling right now that it actually is an empowering decision. Maybe there's an element of shame around choosing to be single in your 30s. But I want to remind you that it's so powerful for you to really connect to the intimate desires that your woman has for you, for your life, for your aliveness, for your pleasure, for your pussy, and really only say yes to that which is a yes to her. Today, I have an incredible guest on the show, a returning guest and a very good friend. Her name is Ash Hartree from the SASS Movement in Perth, Western Australia. And today we explore what it's like to reactivate your internal pulse for life, to connect to your aliveness. And we dive deep into both of our breakups. I don't want to discredit that it's hard to leave anyone, any kind of relationship. But when someone's treating you badly, when someone's hurting you, when someone's harming you, when someone's abusing you, when someone is not meeting your needs and not wanting to meet your needs, when someone is disrespecting your boundaries, it's a pretty, not easy, but you know it's the aligned decision to leave that relationship. And when that person is not willing to work on any of those things, you know, hey, babe, you got to get the fuck out of there. You deserve better. But what about when you're in partnership with a great man? What about when you're in partnership with your best friend? What about when you're in partnership with a man who makes your little girl feel so safe? How do you leave then? What about when you're in partnership with a man that says, baby, let's work on this. Anything that's hard, let's lean in and overcome this. How do you leave that person, especially when you have so much love for them? I met Ash when I was ending my last relationship and at the time I didn't even consider leaving Perth, but I knew aliveness was calling me. I felt neutral. I felt flatline. I didn't feel sad. I didn't feel joyous. I just felt energetic because I am energetic and I have a lot of energy, but I just felt like juice, passion, aliveness, like my grunt for life was missing. I found the SASS movement and Ash would read these beautiful poems at the end of every class that we would do, and she would speak about your pulsing pussy, your aliveness, the mess, the mud, the pain, the darkness, the juice that we get to squeeze out of life. And I did a multitude of things that led me to completing that relationship and choosing to commit to my aliveness and choosing to commit to relationship chosen from my woman and not my little girl. And it took a lot. Today, Ash and I explore what it's like to leave a relationship when he's a great man chosen by our little girl. We speak about the journey of healing and we speak about what it's like to reclaim life from your woman. We have such a fun conversation around dating and sex and brisket and things down the face, and we go wild. So this is deep and juicy and fun and playful and sexy and all the things. If you're a woman really desiring to claim your empowerment in your 30s so you can date and relate with confidence, so that you know that when you say yes to him, you're saying yes to him from your truth, from your woman, from your boundaries, from your alignment, from your aliveness, from your commitment to your internal knowing, not from your little girl, not from scarcity, not from desperation, but from truth, then you are going to want to listen to this episode. If you love this episode, please screenshot it, share it to your story, tag both myself and Ash, because we would love to connect with you and we would love to share it as well. Don't forget, if you much prefer to watch your episodes rather than listen, we're now on YouTube. So click subscribe and watch along. Strap yourself in. This is one hell of a sexy, fun, and very wild episode. Let's fucking go. Ready to go?
Yeah.
Oh, I am sitting here with Raw, Real and Vulnerable royalty, Ash Hartree. Welcome back in the flesh to Raw, Real and Vulnerable.
Thank you for having me again. I feel like this is the volume 2.0.
I know, this is expansion. We're in person. We're not on a screen. got our winged eyeliner off.
The matching wing flicks. I was like, you're on point when that happens.
I'm used to being in Bali. I'm like, I've got points on my shoe. I've got shoes on my feet. The shoes have points on them. What is this?
I got points on my eyeballs. What?
It's a real up level that's happening around here.
It is.
For anyone that doesn't know who Ash Hartree is, who is Ash Hartree and what is it that you do in the world?
So I run the SASS Movement Perth. It is a women's empowerment society.
Yes.
In Fremantle, it is the most beautiful community of women that come together through dance, connection, personal growth, spiritual development.
Yes.
Everything and anything in between that.
Yeah.
It's a space that you can't really explain. It has a visceral feeling that you can only feel, and a palpable feeling you can only feel when you come in and do it.
Yes.
And so to wrap that up in words is a little bit ineffable.
Yes.
So, yeah, that's what I do. I create the ineffable, which is... Yeah.
I love it. It's so funny. People, when I moved to Bali, everyone's like, what do you miss about Perth? I'm like, the SASS movement. Literally. So I booked a one-on-one private with Ash as soon as I was back because I just wanted to be in my body and feeling sexual and sensual and alive. And I remember when I first found the SASS movement, it was before I left my ex-partner. It's before I moved away, and I wasn't feeling that aliveness in my body, but I knew that I wanted it.
Yes.
Why do you feel like the SASS movement is such a big piece to women committing to their aliveness? Do they come to you feeling alive, or are they just, where are we all at?
SASS becomes the catalyst.
Yes.
For many different transitions for women.
Yeah.
So I laugh because people's partners either love me or they hate me. I have husbands that message me.
And you're a sex destroyer.
It's so funny because I'm not even that much of a wild, kinky person, but I feel like people just put me in that box now. But it's interesting because women come to me and they either feel fucking liberated and alive through doing the SASS experience, and they become more online.
Yes.
Or they become more online and notice what in their life is so fucking offline.
Yes.
And if there is a partnership involved, whoever that may be, it then is a direct reflection to that partnership.
Yeah.
And so women's husbands or partners either love me because they're like, whatever you're doing with my partner is liberating the fuck out of them.
Yeah.
Or there's other people's partners that are a little bit more have their nose out of, you know, alignment, because women come in and start to make decisions, brave decisions to step into the life that they know their woman is deserving of.
Yes.
And that they no longer want to be part of this story that they've written up until now that is not fucking fully fulfilling them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that so much. I know that before we went live, we were talking about the notes of what we could explore in today's podcast, because we could go everywhere and for hours and hours and hours. And you said a specific statement, a lot of women are walking around with their head in the sand and a pulseless pussy.
Yeah.
Tell me more about that.
So, I just got a little goosebumps from that. If my nipples get hard, you might see them on camera.
She said before, she goes, tell me your ideas, and if my nipples go hard, it means it's a yes. I'm like, great, let's go.
So the reason why I said that is because everything I do in SASS, and I know you've spoken into this a lot about with your business, my business is a part of who I am, but it's also its own entity. And whenever I'm traversing seasons in my life, it is a direct reflection within my business. And so there was a period of my life during running SASS where I was walking around with my fucking head in the sand and a pulseless pussy. And that was in a partnership that my heart and my little girl felt very safe in, but my woman had her head buried in the sand.
Yeah.
And she had a pulseless pussy. And that is no fucking way to live. And so through the journey of having the courage and taking the brave, courageous steps to move away from that, I was able to bring that woman online.
Yeah.
And so because I have now been the embodiment of that transition, it then becomes a magnet for women who are going through the same thing.
And just for the listeners' context, how long were you? I mean, I know you know my story.
Yeah.
And so, you know, there were moments where Ash would really reflect to me that she really sees me. We weren't really good friends.
We weren't, no, yeah.
But I was coming to SASS and I was in so much internal conflict around leaving my ex, knowing he's such a great person and my little girl felt so safe and I tried everything to make it work and I wondered, was it me and my wounds and my attachment style?
Yeah.
And I had this deeper part of me that was like, you know, your woman knows this is not it. For the listeners' context, how long were you with your ex-partner for?
11 years.
Yeah.
And we were friends from the age of 14.
Yeah.
So we got together when I was 18 and separated when I was 29.
Wow.
So they are foundational, pivotal years of your life.
Yes.
But to also give context, and you don't really understand a lot of this until you've done the inner work on yourself and you've come out the other side. But I also had, during those years, an extremely turbulent relationship with my mother. And now we're in the process of rebuilding our relationship because she's been diagnosed with schizophrenia and we know the reasons why what was going on was so difficult. But during that time, we didn't. And so I was battling so much unease and fear of abandonment with my mother that I was attaching to safety within that masculine pillar from a young age, you know, from the age of 18. And so once that was established, for so long, there were many things within myself. And, you know, like we've both said, as a partner, this person wasn't a bad human.
Yeah.
You know, we relate separation through tragedy and mistrust and things going wrong.
Conflict and not being treated well.
But it was never like that. But there were still many times where I reflect back on now where my woman wasn't being met, but my little girl was being held so safely. And because of the turbulent relationship and honestly, the trauma and the stress that was going on in my life with my mum, I needed that masculine pillar. And that's why I feel like it's so important too to highlight, and we'll go into the dating thing after this, is this practice of non-attachment. This person might be in your life for whatever period of time it is to support you through the growth and that timeline of what you need to go through then and there. If for whatever reason the outcome is not this white picket fence with the golden retriever and the fucking supportive bank account, then that's fine because they've held you through that season that you needed them. And I think because of Hollywood, because of movies, because of the narrative of finding your forever soulmate, we get caught up in that trap of that storyline. We then start to not value all those parts of the woman that really need it. And so it leads us into this outcome of becoming stale and pulseless pussy.
How long do you feel you knew your woman knew this is not it? I mean, an 11-year relationship. At what point were you like, Ash, something gets to change?
I'll be fucking honest. This is so brutal. But there was a part of me that knew it from the beginning because there were some behaviors that I just wasn't happy with. But then the person grows, right?
Yeah.
So then you see the potential.
Yes.
You see the potential in them. And as someone with a heart connection, and when you have a heart connection, you see the potential and growth in someone.
Yeah.
So you're like, wow, well, if you've gone from this, which was substandard, to this, what could be possible in the future? Let's hang on.
Yeah.
And then you hang on.
Yeah.
And then you wait for a birthday, and then you wait for a Christmas because you're like, well, I can't do it now because there's all these life events that create, you know, this, it's hard. It makes
you had
it
a
hard.
nice friendship circle.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And our whole friendship circle is the same too. So you carry it on. But if I'm honest, I think as a woman too, we all know we have this deep innate knowing.
Yes.
And I knew deep down, and it's hard to differentiate between a heart connection with someone because honestly, there will always be a heart connection for me. That will never go away.
Yeah.
But it is like, that is one part of the whole pie.
Yeah.
And so it's the other parts that weren't being met.
How do we practice non-attachment? Because it sounds nice to say, but I'm like, hey, babe, you've sorted that one out. I haven't worked it out yet.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
So for me, doing my yoga teacher training really helped me with this, like learning more about it. And I did that toward the end of my relationship, and it came at a pivotal time because that's when I needed to release this contract.
Yeah.
And it was at my yoga retreat that I faced my deepest, darkest thoughts. We were made to do these activities, and I was like, fuck me.
Yeah.
This needs to happen. And
what was the darkest thought?
They were all your triggers around like your scenarios at home, what triggers you, what comes up for you,
Yes.
and how you then manage them.
Yes.
Then when I got home, the trigger came up fucking within 5 minutes. And I got triggered and I was like, fuck, this is exactly what I've been facing the last 7 days on retreat.
Yeah.
I need to go take some time and not be reactive,
Yes.
but go sit with this. So I sat down, I drove straight to the river, sat at this same park that I always used to reflect, and I started journaling. And it was in that time, the time my spirit animal was kookaburras. And two kookaburras started laughing as I was journaling because I was crying, going, what are the answers I need right now to leave?
Yes.
What are the answers I need right now to leave? Because I didn't have that like last bit of like,
Yeah.
because there was no real reason.
Yes.
I was like, fuck me, just cheat on me. And then I've got a reason. And then the two kookaburras started laughing and I was just thought to myself, you're fucking kidding me.
Yeah.
Like, this is my sign that I need to do it. So from there, it was going, okay, I'm not going to be attached to this outcome anymore. This is not what I thought my life would look like at 29. And that's okay. That's okay. So from there, I started making the decisions, and it was in like 8 weeks from that point that I made the decision to separate and move out. And as soon as the decision was made and the conversation was had, it was horrific, obviously, but things just started going boom, 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 boom. And then after that, going into the whole dating realm, the practice of non-attachment is I meet people, and I think going through separation and such grief taught me true unconditional love. And so now when I'm in a situation, I will unconditionally appreciate and love someone, but not be attached to the outcome, because I need to know I need to choose my woman first. Because that day that I left was the day I chose my woman. And I have chosen her every day since. And separation was the hardest decision I've ever made. But choosing my woman every day since has been the best decision I've ever made. So I will not stop doing that. And the reason why practicing non-attachment is so important for that is because I'm never going to abandon myself again.
I love that so much. It's, you know, I wasn't in a relationship for 11 years, but leaving someone that was choosing a man from her little girl. And I'm such a strong advocate for the first 3 months, you need no contact in a breakup. And apparently there are chemicals that are occurring in your brain that actually require you to separate and not have contact with that person for the first 3 months. I found the first 3 months of that separation excruciating.
Oh my gosh.
On the floor in my villa, crying, little girl crying. And I could hear her saying, why would you do this to me? Why would you take him away from me? I want him back. Call him. And I'm like, but literally those words, to the point of who is speaking to me right now of, why would you do this to me? Why would you take him away from me? I was like, there is another voice. I'm like, oh my fucking God, that's my little girl. This is why our relationship couldn't work. She was in relationship with him running the show. But I would have moments of weakness within the first 3 months and contact him because he's a great man. We didn't separate with any pain or any resentment towards each other. We hadn't ever betrayed or dishonored one another. He'd be like, Rebecca, I'm never going to ignore you, but you asked for this 3 months. After I made it through the first 3 months, I was good. And then every 3 months after, he would connect with me. And there'd still be a piece of my little girl that was like, maybe he's going to be able to give me what I want. So we would explore it. The final time he connected with me, April this year, it was like my woman fully came online and said, no, your top 3 non-negotiables, present it to him. And I was like, babe, love you. Think you're a great man, would have loved it to work out, but for whatever reason, not in this lifetime, not for us. These are the 3 things I need. Can you give me them? And he said, not now, later. And I was like, great, you have to let me go so that I can heal, because my man won't show up while you're here. And at that point I was like, that's my fucking woman just owning so fully. And then the people that I've dated since, I know I was telling you about my friend in Bali, has had this heart-opening, beautiful sex. And I also knew it was only for 2 months because he wants babies in 8 to 10 years. I want them in 3 to 4. And so my woman knows this is beautiful, but this beauty is only one piece. This isn't my forever love. And my woman can own that and be able to experience the beauty that it is for the time that it was here and not be attached to needing him to be it forever.
Yeah. And those experiences are what's showing you what's available, right? Because for a lot of the time we sit in a certain narrative of what's available.
Yes.
But the moment you practice non-attachment and you give yourself real life experiences, you go out and actually fucking live.
Yes.
You start to realize, oh, that's available. That's available. That's now becoming my new standard. And so is that.
Yeah.
And so we create experiences from these micro experiences that we're having that give us a whole new standard that our woman is wanting to be met with.
Yeah.
And we're no longer going to go for subpar mid shit anymore.
Yes.
Because the line's been drawn in the sand and we've been shown.
Yeah.
The only way to do that is to fucking get out there.
And I think being connected to yourself, like even with my friend, he wrote me a 2-page poem to say goodbye at the end of our 2 months together.
I would die.
I read it 20 times. I cried every time I read it. And as all of this emotion was coming up, there is a part of me that was like, because I'd done a Kundalini retreat and I'd seen him in a vision where I was walking down the aisle towards him and I was like, and he was in a suit and I was like, no, Rebecca, this is not from this lifetime. This is not your person. But as all of this emotion was coming up, it's easy to be like, why am I crying? Am I meant to be exploring this further?
Yeah.
And then just coming back to that, no. That's your personality trying to grab.
Attached to it, yeah.
Because if I really connect to what's within, I already know. And I know why he showed up. I know what this was here for. I mean, I haven't had heart-open sex where I felt my heart having sex with someone since my early 20s.
Yeah.
I'm 36.
Yeah.
So I was like, just allow this experience to be what it was.
Yes.
And allow, like, of course you're crying reading this 2-page poem. It's fucking beautiful.
Yeah.
You don't need to make it mean any more than what exactly that it is.
There's no story that needs to now be attached to it.
Yes.
Yeah. But it showed you what's available. You hadn't had that sort of sex since you were in your early 20s. You're like, oh, fuck, okay, this is available for me again.
Yeah.
The same for me. I didn't have that sort of pleasure in my body until I went through that healing process and then started reintegrating back into dating and having experiences with people. And I was like, oh, fuck, my body does actually have the capacity to feel this because it hadn't for so long.
And you took 12 months off to be entirely celibate.
Yeah.
Right?
And during that 12 months, and you spoke about that 3-month period of just grueling death, for the first 3 to 6 months, it was grueling death.
Yeah.
And I let myself go into just being a dark fucking mess.
Yes.
I lived with my best friend at the time, and she even reflected back to me not too long ago. She said, you know, I've seen you allow yourself to properly process it.
Yeah.
A lot of us do the let's jump into another relationship.
Yeah.
And I knew within me, my ego was saying he slept with someone else because I knew he admitted to me he'd slept with someone else. He'd
That'd be heartbreaking.
And that, I thought I was prepared. Oh, that fucking got me.
Yeah.
And it happened. It so happened. I was already going away for the weekend into the bush with no phone because I'd had enough. I could just feel I was at my fucking capacity and I could feel a breakdown happening. And I said to my friend, I need to leave right now. I called my brother. He has a cabin out in the bush. I said, I need to go to your cabin right now. He goes, okay. I fucking just grabbed a backpack and left for 3 days. And my friend said to me, are you going to be okay? I said, I'm going to be all right. I just need to go. And it was on my way down there that he shared that he had slept with someone else. And I needed to know because it was closure for me. It wasn't like a fuck you. It was I needed that physical closure for my body. And I got the yes. And I was like, that's cool. Like, thank you for being honest. Like, I really appreciate that. Hung up the phone and fuck me, I felt like someone had just gutted me. I was like, nah, I'm ready for this. I can hear it. I wasn't. And what I find really interesting is I wrote this piece of poetry maybe a few years ago about driving to an old service station in the bush and, you know, not having phone reception. It was kind of this whimsical feeling of being disconnected. I was driving through the bush, had to pull over at this petrol station in the middle of nowhere to get petrol. And it was like I had it was a prophecy.
Yeah.
Like I had written about this years ago, but didn't know what it meant.
Yeah.
And I was at this service station. I remember buying hot chips and vinegar and putting heaps of chicken salt on them. Like, maybe if I put more chicken salt, it'll dampen my feelings right now. And I got in the car and I just fucking cried and cried. And I went to the bush and it was on this beautiful freshwater lake. And there's natural white clay at the bottom of it, like Lowbrook Dam. Highly recommend going there. And for 3 days, I remember I just let the life bleed out of me and into the water and into the woods. And at the same time, I had this separation going on with my mother. And I remember like deeply crying, going, I just need my mum right now. I need my fucking mum. Like I need her here. And I looked around and I said, it's okay. Like you've got Mother Nature, you've got the water. Like let this hold you. Let this take everything from you that you no longer want to hold on to. And I did for 3 days. I just went through this cathartic processing on my own. I wrote poetry. I drank wine. I was dressed like a fucking bogan. My hair was feral and curly. Like it was just a full purge.
Yeah.
It felt like a full purge, but I let myself go into the depths of darkness.
Yeah.
And I feel a lot of people are afraid to go there.
Yeah.
But it was there. It was in the darkness and in the depression that I realized what true light feels like. And I knew that life would come back into my lungs again. And it was in the anxiety that I taught myself real courage. And it was in the grief that I learned what unconditional love means. And I needed to have that for myself. So I let myself process and then I came home. And again, it was 12 months after that. It was celibacy, me just being with myself. I look at my photos of myself during that time and I let color out of my hair. And it was just, I can see that I let everything go so that I could recharge again.
Yeah.
And when I did, you know, the first experience I had with someone else, it was epic because I knew I was ready.
Yeah.
If I had done it in the beginning when my ego instantly had that answer of I've been with someone else, it was, well, I've got to now too.
Yeah.
Or you're going to all the parties, you're going out and being a social butterfly. My ego's like, you need to.
Yeah.
The woman was going, you didn't make this decision to make more decisions from your ego. You're making decisions from me. And that is sit your fucking ass down, sit in the mud and heal.
I love that.
And then fucking revive, bitch, because you're going to be hotter and more fun and better than ever.
Yeah.
And I did. And my life after that was just like, ew. My business started doing good. I was going on holidays, going to fucking Berlin, went to sex clubs. And like life got so vibrant because
from alignment,
from alignment, from my woman, from my truth,
Yeah.
from being good.
Yes.
I was good again.
Yeah.
I was better than good.
I love
I left good for great. So I became great.
love. I know I was in Bali and I was like, I've left for sex. I'm going to go have all of that. I'm going to have the threesome. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And like my personality really wanted me to. And I'd be out with my girlfriends in Bali. Bali is a human playground. You can have whatever you want.
Fuck yeah.
Everyone's good looking. Like all the women are good looking.
Everyone's tanned.
Everyone's tanned. Everyone's like, inhibitions have been left behind. Like I'm not a drinker, but like everyone's there and they're like, I'm free because I'm in Bali. I'm trying something new on.
It's giving holiday all day, every day.
Yes. And so I'd be out with my girlfriends and a guy would come up to me and I just start bawling my eyes out. And put myself on. Or friends would be like, we're going to go out clubbing. Friends would fly and be like, Beck, you love dancing. Let's take her out dancing. And I remember being at some club in Seminyak, and I don't even go to Seminyak often. And my friend and his wife walk in. We sit down for 2 minutes. Next minute I'm bawling. I'm like, I'm not meant to be here. Like,
right.
I can't run from this. I want to be out and having fun, but I can't yet.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think a younger version of me could have easily ran and band-aided, but I know the pain of avoidance.
Yeah.
And my soul was like, you're too fucking smart for this, Rebecca.
Absolutely.
Bali will be here in a year. You can have fun in a year. You can have you can do what you want in a year, and from choice, not from reaction. Because I remember him that first 3 months where I called him, he's like, are you not putting yourself out there, Rebecca? You wanted the sex, Rebecca. Go and put yourself out there. I'm like, is my ex-boyfriend fucking coaching me to meet men? I'm like, I'm meeting people. I'm like, I don't want to yet. And I'm like, that's what I had to honor. Yeah. And then when I did, same thing. It was like, that's where the sex stories came online. That's where my girlfriends in Bali were like, you know, you're going to have some bad sex, right? And I was like, I'm not available for bad sex. It won't be happening. They're like, well, you're living in the clouds. You're dreaming. I'm like, no. I know what I'm here for.
Yeah.
I'm going to set the context from the outset, and I will only have good sex. I've had the best sex of my life since, but it's because my woman fucking showed up, not my wounded little girl that wanted to like
just be liked, pick me girl, give him pick me girl. Yeah.
Yes. Let's talk first about, there's a lot of stigma and shame around choosing to be single from a place of empowerment in our 30s. Talk to me about that.
So I was actually reflecting on this the other day, and I was thinking my life looks wildly different to my other friends that are, 32, 33.
Yeah.
But I've come to a place where I feel like I didn't come this far to come this far, as Kim K says.
Yeah.
I didn't go through the 11 years of, and to be fair though, those 11 years were incredible.
Yes.
Like, I'm not going to discredit the life I lived in that period.
Yeah.
It was fucking amazing. I lived, did, breathed the best shit during that time, but it was the partner and the relationship that then toward the end I was just not knowing that it was no longer alignment for me.
Yes.
And now, because I've gone through that experience, I just say to myself, I'm 32. There is actually so much life to live once you start opening your eyeballs and going and experiencing it.
Yeah.
And I think this is the issue with a lot of people, is because we're quite insular.
Yeah.
We stay in our little bubble. We prescribe to a lot of society's scripts and stories. We feel constricted to this. But I can guarantee you, once you start to crack that open a little, you go traveling, you meet new people, you start reading stories, you start expanding your awareness. You go, fuck me, I am not the only one. There are so many more of us. And to be fair, I run a women's empowerment society. So I meet women on the daily that are going through long-term separation, that are going through separation in their 30s, 40s, 50s, that have been married for 25 years, indoctrinated into like extremely strict religious communities, and they're breaking free from that. The age is only a number. It's only a concept. And what's important is that when you get to the fucking end of your life, are you going to say, I made those numbers, those years, those moments count? Or did I just do it because it was what this person said was a great idea?
Yeah.
And for me, that's how I get comfortable with it. I go, I don't want to be on my deathbed thinking, fuck, like that is the number one regret of the dying. I wish I lived more of a life towards the equivalence of what I wanted and what made me happy than what made other people happy.
Yeah.
And so if I remember that is the top regret of the dying, me being single and having fun and living my life with no responsibilities at 32 is not a problem.
And if the right man walked in tomorrow?
If the right man walked in tomorrow, I'm like, cool.
Yes.
Because this is that whole practice of non-attachment.
Yeah.
I actually went through a period and a process too of, once I grieved that, I then went through the period of reflection of, okay, generally most of my friends are in partnership and they're having children. So I had to go through an identity loss and a fragment of like grieving for the fact that maybe I will never go through that. And I had to process that and go, but that's going to be okay, because no matter what, whatever's meant to be for me will be for me. And I'm okay with that. I'm not going to, again, discredit or ignore my woman to be in something that doesn't feel fulfilling because of the pressures of thinking, okay, my friends are going through that. And if it means I'm going to be alone, I've cultivated such a deep, fun relationship with myself now that I'm like, oh, well, it's just me and you, baby. Like, and if that happens, that happens. But if the right person walks in, I will not discredit that either. Like, I'm not like anti relationships, I'm a scorned 32-year-old woman. I'm so receptive and open for whatever is meant to come my way will. And I just am trust the fucking God. Like, I've had conversations with God since I was a child. I am not religious, but I have a deep spiritual connection with God. And that was one of the, huge things I lent on during that time period of, what do I do now, God? What do I do now? After this separation, after this healing, after all this work I've done on myself, and this is something for everyone to take away, we're constantly wanting to fix. We're constantly wanting to heal.
Yes.
We're constantly wanting to grow, which is beautiful. But at what point do you stop? You bask in the fruits of everything that you've created for yourself.
Yes.
And you ask God, so what now? And the answer that I got was 6 letters, 1 space, 2 simple words. Go live.
Yeah.
And so I did.
I love that.
I just fucking went and lived my little fun, spicy, fiery heart out.
Love, 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 love. At what point should a woman take responsibility for her pulseless pussy and not project it at the partnership that she's in? Because I know for me, I was like, this is not the sex that I want. This is not the intimacy. All of Instagram knows. If you've listened to the podcast, everyone knows. And for me, I realized there's not pleasure anywhere else in my life. So I'm reaching for low-hanging pleasure.
Yes.
I'm reaching for...
It's a dopamine hit, right? It's like it's a drug.
And I feel for some women, it's the wine, if they have an unhealthy relationship with wine. For some women, it's the chocolate. I drink wine. I love chocolate, but it's not the only place I experience pleasure. I fucking love sex. Everyone knows it. But now my life has pleasure everywhere else. But when I was in that relationship, I was like, he's the reason that I'm not experiencing pleasure.
So at what point does a woman take responsibility for having
her pulseless pussy? Yeah.
Straight away.
Yeah.
Immediately.
Yes.
If you are living a life right now with a pulseless pussy, and by that I mean if your body doesn't feel online, if you feel numb, if you feel like you're just functioning in neutral, if there's no heartbeat or pulse going on, take responsibility immediately. Because one thing I recognized in my life, and as soon as I recognized it, that's when shit started to change. I am the circuit breaker to the vicious cycles that keep going on. The other person is not responsible to pull the fucking plug out of the wall and to stop this circuit of like shit that's going on. It's me. It's me. I need to change and I am the problem.
Yes.
I am the problem because I am prescribing to this continuing.
Yes.
And if I feel pulseless, if I feel lifeless, if I feel neutral and I don't feel like I'm thriving, it is my responsibility to make a change. And I am the only one that can create the circuit breaker.
Yes.
And it's going to take courage.
Yes.
It's going to take bravery.
Yeah.
And it's going to take work.
Yes. I love the way you describe it just for a moment, because we were speaking about this the other day. When you say, I love how you call it neutral, because it's not, this was my experience. It's not sad.
Yeah.
It's not depressed.
Yep.
Because you'd be like, I feel sad or depressed. And it's not joyous and it's definitely not heart open. It's just like, also I have a lot of energy. So I was like, I feel neutral.
Yeah.
But energized. So nothing's really fundamentally wrong.
Yeah.
But it's not alive and it's not turned on.
Yeah. I feel like neutral, I don't want to discredit neutral because mental health is a really big thing for me too. And neutral is a great place to get to for someone that has been suffering, say, really low depression, or if you've been in like body hatred and you can get to neutral with your body, and that's a great place too. But I mean like overall vitality with life.
Yes.
If you don't have any sort of zest or zing or spike where you're like, damn, I just heard this song and I was like, oof. Gave me hard nipples.
Yeah.
Or, I met this person, they really, like their energy really penetrated me. It made me radiate and feel joy.
Yeah.
If you're not having those energetic exchanges or spikes in energy, because they're going to go up and down, then it starts to go, right, is there anything in my life that I'm actually doing within my day-to-day schedule that brings me any of that vitality?
Yeah.
And if it's not, what adjustments do I need to start making?
Yeah.
And where am I in a consistent circuit that I need to break that's creating a vortex of just this same feeling that's happening? Because a lot of the time, the way you're running one thing is the way you're running multiple things. And so you are the match. It's like you remove that, it doesn't keep burning through, like we're good. And you got to take responsibility straight away. Once you have the awareness, which is what a lot of us do end up having, the awareness, and then we don't have the fucking woman, the big pussy energy to go, right, that's it. It's like the mum voice, right, we're doing it.
Yes.
It's getting into that and going, I'm taking responsibility for my life. It's going to be wobbly, shaky, scary, heartbreaking, whatever it is. But on the other side, short-term pain for long-term gain.
Yeah.
It's a long-term vision. A lot, I know you speak about this a lot too. Same in business, same in relationships, same in life. This is a marathon.
Yeah.
It's not a sprint.
Yeah.
We don't know when the end is going to be, so we need to make sure the middle is juicy as fuck and we're doing everything we can to make it feel vibrant and alive. And there's going to be shortcomings. We're going to have grief and death and the polarity of it all. But if there's neutrality, then there's none of that.
Yeah.
So.
And so you've got your pulseless pussy turned online now.
Bang, bang.
What would we describe the pussy as now, baby?
Wet.
I don't know.
Moist. I was like, when do I start shot firing some really rogue shit on here?
Do it. And so once this wet pussy has come online, how's dating been like for you?
It's been fun.
Yes.
Like, that's what it's been.
Yeah.
The practice of non-attachment. And like, this sounds slightly fucking ridiculous to me, but I'm like, I'm just doing it for the plot. If this means it's going to be a funny story, they're going to have a wine with my girlfriends that have got newborn children, and they're like, tell me the goss, bitch. Give me some goss. And I'm like, right, sit down. You're going to want to hear this one. But it's giving me experience. And again, it's in the arena that I feel really uncomfortable in.
Yeah.
I don't know how to fucking date. Like, especially in the online world, it's different.
Yeah.
I wasn't brought up with online dating.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's just been this consistent personal experiment.
Yeah.
And it gets to be fun.
Yeah.
And to be fair, like I know you're saying you've had great sex. I've never been on a bad date.
Yeah.
I've never, because
Love.
again, I have vetted first.
Yeah.
I have gotten really clear on, okay, I'm not going to get to that point unless there's been good chat and I feel, safe with this person. So I've not had any horror dating stories.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I've had shit sex, but like, you win some, you lose some. But dating wise, it's been fun. And for me, at the end of the day, I just feel like it's like anything. I'm going in and it's going to give me an experience and it's going to give me more courage for the future, more clarity.
Yes.
It's in the doing that we create clarity.
Yeah. I find women are really attached to meeting the person and being like, I'm telling my girlfriends when we meet him, he's not your husband.
Yeah.
You my husband. I would chill out. Put off the gas pedal, girlfriend. Calm down. And we put so much weight on needing to find him. Is it him? Is it him? Is it him?
No.
And we forget that we need, my mentor, Preston Smiles, always says this. The 2, the 3, the 4, the 5 are just as important as the 1. Everyone wants their 1. Everyone wants $7 million a year in business, but you're not going to get there without the failed businesses, the hardship, the fuck ups, the boyfriend where you didn't use your voice, the needs that you acquiesced on, the boundaries that you let go of, the things that you didn't say. Just all of it is so important. Yeah. And we put so much weight on, oh no, but the 1, that we think that everything else is wrong, but everything else is actually right, because that's what's leading you towards where you're going.
Exactly. You are not going to learn. I remember at one point I was sitting in my room, I was like, well, I'm not going to fucking learn how to date unless I go out and start doing it. Like, stop being a fucking sad sack.
Yeah.
Get off your high horse and just go on Hinge.
Yeah.
Like, because I was so against it.
Yeah.
And so it was just through the doing and going into the experience and letting it be fumbly sometimes and letting it be fun that, you do. There was no outcome for me. I have friends that are like, so how was it? And I'm like, dude, it was just what it was. Yeah. And it was fun. Yeah. But there doesn't need to be this crazy outcome for me. It's a life experience. And the only way you're going to figure the fuck shit out is through just experiencing.
And so I know our listeners are global, but you and I are both originally from Perth. And I find everyone has a relationship with dating with wherever they are from. So Perth women are like, dating in Perth fucking sucks. People in Bali are like, dating in Bali fucking sucks. Everyone's peak pants. Women in New York are like, dating in New York sucks. Like, no matter where you're from, someone has a story about dating where they're from. Yeah. So what is your advice or guidance for any woman that is saying, where I live, dating here is fucking shit?
Yeah. Go on a holiday.
Move to Bali.
I'm sorry, but like, I don't know, in the last 2 years, I've done like 2 big trips to Europe, and I've let sometimes those be my dating experiences as well, because I want to date people from other cultures and other countries to see how they relate differently.
Yes.
Which has been so eye-opening because Aussie men definitely date
Look, there's Australian men, then there's American men.
Okay.
American men are fucking wild. They dive. American men dive into the deep end. They're like, do you think I'm your husband? They look up
I did
marriage.
your astrological chart and we were meant to be in a past life.
They look up marriage visas so you can stay in the country, and it's like, bro, I just fucking met you. And then they backflip within 2.5 seconds when you hit one little roadblock. It's like, what? As Australian men, everyone's like, I could just keep going. Everyone's like, what do you like about America? And I'm like, you know what I like about America? Australian men, like, I just thought my type was my type, but I just think it's what we got used to, because Perth is the furthest state away from fucking everywhere, and men with muscles and tats haven't figured out how to get on a plane to America just yet. So I'm quite safe all the way over there. They don't know that Qantas exists. I'm like, oh, look at all my different types.
I told you need to go to Europe, man. Like Spanish and I don't know, Spanish men is different. Yeah, German men. Oh.
So yeah, we've got no actual support for you. Just get on a plane.
So basically, I'm saying get on a plane. No, so women that want to date in Perth, I would say go on with no expectation. Expectation. Go on with the mindset of I'm here to experience life, to meet new people, to know what I like and what I don't like. Because a lot of the time too, you don't really figure out what your icks are and what your yeses are and what your accelerators are and your stops are until you're there experiencing it with someone. Because most of the time too, we might have, I feel like my preference is this, but then you meet someone with something different about them, but you really gel. Yeah. And it becomes an energetic exchange. Yeah. And then you realize, wow, okay, I wrote off men that wear ripped jeans and fucking low cut Vans. And I was like, they're a no for me. Yeah. But then I met a guy with ripped jeans and low cut Vans, and we really vibed, and I really enjoyed being in his energy. So go into dating in Perth with no expectations. Yes. Vet them with your mates, because sometimes people know people and you're like, okay, do you know this bloke? Sis, is this your man? Perfect Facebook page. No.
They've got one of those in Bali. It's very
one in Perth is wild.
Really?
Babe, it's wild. I just go on there for tea. I'm like, damn. I'm like low-key waiting for one of my friends to get posted. Just like, huh? But yeah, vet them with your friends, but just go in with an open mind, an open heart, and a protected pussy.
Do you know what I think as well is breaking free from, we'll dive into the protected pussy when we have to get serious, but I do think it's having an open mind and be willing to, especially in your 30s, if you've been trying a particular type and your type is not working, maybe your type is not your type.
Yes.
And that's what I love about Bali. Like, Bali has so many different cultures, can't say the word, ethnicities. It's a hard one. But, you know, and also breaking away sometimes from what your girlfriend's saying. Like, my girlfriends are like, Beck, you're designed to be with I love a strong man, but you're meant to be with a big man, a strong man, and he's big. And I've always liked that ever since I was 18 to 20. But when I got to Bali, I started to experience Argentinian men. They're not the biggest men. Like, they're in great shape, but they're not big people by nature. They're fucking great in bed. And I'm like, you know what? You might think that the big muscles and the tattoos are my type, but like, I'm down for the Argentinian man that's connected.
That flag.
He is so connected to his sex. I'm like, maybe the smaller man that's in great shape, I'm not a no.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I feel like being open to trying different types is needed, especially when you're getting into your later years. Yes. Because you're cutting yourself off from fruit that you don't know you might like the taste of.
Literally.
Like, go on with the cuisines, baby. Like, give it a whirlski. Your taste buds change.
I'm like, in Perth, I thought I had a fruit platter. I had an apple. I got to Bali. Every fruit was on the table. Correct. I was like, I like mango and I like strawberry.
Hence why I suggest traveling. Because Perth is insular.
Okay, so we don't have a lot of support for women that have a belief around our hometown.
No, but there are beautiful people in Perth too, and there's so many opportunities, but just get the fuck in there.
Yeah.
Get in there, give it a whirl. There is nothing to lose.
Yeah.
Have your wits about you. If you see a profile that's a little bit sketchy, reverse Google image their image because you'll find out if it's a fake catfish or not.
Oh.
Just a hot tip for like dating.
Have you had an experience with a fake
I haven't,
photo
but I just know these
to reverse
things.
Google? Okay, smart.
But no. Oh yeah, I've caught people out 100% multiple times.
Really?
But I can tell straight away.
Reverse Google their photo?
Yeah, so this is like a hot little tip. And if you post insist, is this your man? A lot of people will give you info. But especially when I was traveling, like when I was overseas, it happened to me a lot where I'd get sent a profile. I was like, hang on a second.
Yeah.
This doesn't quite look right. And then I would upload their image into reverse Google image on Google, and it would show me the profile of the real person that it was. And so especially while you're traveling, if you're going to have dating apps on, be careful when you're in a foreign country that you aren't being absolutely catfished or scammed by a random person. And also too, like if you are going to meet up with someone, get their number, meet up with them in a public place. Like just have your fucking wits about you.
Is that what you mean when you say protect, like be protective?
Yeah, protect your pussy.
Just
Yeah.
boundaries and safety.
100%. Like boundaries and safety when it comes to protecting pussy. Go out and have experiences, but don't be persuaded into doing things that you don't want to. Don't sleep with someone that if it's a no, it's a no.
Yeah.
Like honor that, and you're going to create more of a voice for yourself when you put yourself in those positions and you test it out.
Yes.
Especially if you've been a people pleaser in the past.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, choosing from your woman. I mean, I remember going on a date at the very beginning of my breakup, and this guy was gorgeous, like just all the things. We went on a date and literally the whole conversation was about him. I was like, is this motherfucker going to ask me a question at some point? Like, you apparently retired yourself at 28. You don't know how to speak English. You don't have a question to ask. But we leave and he starts messaging me flat stick and he tells me how beautiful I look. I knew I looked great. He didn't give me one compliment. Then he starts talking to me about sex and my orgasm. And obviously I left my ex because I wanted aliveness and pleasure. And I was like, he's asking me more questions about my orgasm than my ex has asked me in 3 years. I'm doing this. And I had to really get clear on that wasn't a yes to me. I left that date knowing that I was a no. Yeah. And now this reactive part of me is kicking in. It wasn't a people pleaser, but this part of me that's like, fuck my ex and never asked me this many questions about my orgasm. Let's go. And then I had to realize like, nah, that's me self-abandoning.
And also, where's the integrity of asking you those questions in person?
Yes.
Because people can be, again, it's like keyboard warriors on the internet.
Yes.
People can be big chat, talk smack over messaging, and you meet them in person and you serve it how it is. Like I'll serve some people in messages over no, see them in person, I'll just back it up. But if you're not going to back your shit up in person, it's going to give you that feeling. Yeah. Right? So you met the real essence of him because energetically you could feel it. But then as he walked away and then messaged you, he was giving you a different response. And it's like we could so easily be persuaded in going against what the woman knows to then feed that desire and that lust and that little like dark part of us. It's just like, come on, man, like let's go there. Yeah. But afterwards, you would have felt that empty feeling again, right?
And it's like 2 days ago when I did another day of podcasting here, I got my hair done, I was hungry, ran into this place called Milked for a ham and cheese croissant. Yeah. This man, I walk in and I'm in bright pink pants, so they stand out. But I could also tell he looked at me and my presence shocked him. And then he stayed looking at me and I'm like, okay, this man obviously wants to, he either knows who I am or he wants to approach me, he's attracted to me. Something is happening for this guy. I've ordered, he's still looking at me. I'm waiting for my ham and cheese croissant, he's still looking at me. At this point, I'm like, bro, you're just going to come up and be like, hey, my name's James, and I either think you're Beck, are you Beck, or you're really beautiful. Then I ordered it takeaway, and I'm like, I'm probably going to spill this on myself if I eat and drive at the same time. I'm going to eat it here. I'm eating, and I've turned my head, and he's looking at me. I'm like, for fuck's sake, man, like, please come up and say hello. And then I leave. He doesn't do anything, but he's watching me walk out, and I'm like, that was weird. 10 minutes later, my Facebook Messenger pops off. I don't know who he is. Hey, are you Beck Antonucci and were you just in Milked? And I'm like, I was literally 2 arms lengths away from you and it was obvious that you were staring at me. Grow a pair, come up and just be like, my name's James. Are you Beck?
This is honestly just a public service announcement for men in Perth. Like, say the fucking thing. Yeah. I almost dropped the C-bomb then. Just fucking say it, cunt. Yeah. Come on. Women, like, chivalry isn't dead. Women appreciate men taking charge. Yes. I'm sorry. Yeah. But, like, we're already fucking very independent people as it is. Yeah. We want someone to come up to us and be like, right, you're attractive. What's your name?
Yeah.
How are you?
Yes.
Let's meet tomorrow night, 7:00 here. I'll pick you up. Like, give me a fucking plan. Be decisiveness.
Yes. Well, we want men to lead. Like the independent bad bitch is shifting back into interdependent, giving up the leadership, asking you to lead. But men in Perth, men in Australia say that women are bitches and that they're scared to approach us. And this is what I noticed in America. In America, everywhere I went on my own, men would just,
oh my gosh, yeah.
coming at me left, right, and center. I had my head, I think I told you the story. I'm in, what was it called? Barbecue, 10X barbecue, Terry Black's barbecue. I've got a plate. Oh, I love fatty meat. It's like my favorite food. A plate of fatty brisket in front of me. I'm not a pretty eater. I wish I was. It's not a good look. If I was famous, I would have paranoia about eating in public because I'm like, some camera, people can be like, that fucking pig. I'm a human. What are you doing? Slow down.
You're just going absolutely ham in this big meatball.
I do. I've got my head, I've probably got like fat oil dribbling down my chin. And I'm there. And I look up and a man's face is in front of me and I'm like, the fuck? And he's like, you're really beautiful. Can I take you out sometime? And that is, I was like,
mid-slurp.
What's happening?
Just giving POV of what's going to happen later.
In the meatball. Thank you. And I'm like, that's literally America where they just don't give a shit and they're approaching. They have no fear of rejection. I'm like, my ex pursued me for 2 years. He literally like, we should go for coffee. I'll drive to you. And my ex is a masculine man. He's a leader. He's a public speaker. He's a go-getter. He's like, it took him 2 years of consistently DMing me on Instagram because we knew who each other were for me to be like, I'm fucking going to give it into this person that's persistent and like, let's go. American men are like, they shoot their shot.
Yeah.
Why do you think Australian men don't?
Yeah. It's a bit of a loaded question, to be honest. To be honest, I come from 4th generation Australian family and I come from men that are actually very good with women. Like my dad, incredible man. And I'm just so grateful that I had his presence and my stepmom's presence growing up.
Yeah.
Because I seen a beautiful devotional union and marriage looks like. And I had that from a young age. So for me, it's difficult too because dad has created a masculine pillar of this is what a man is like. But I think for men now, especially in Australia, I think it's the mentality of I don't think there's a lot of emotional connection created amongst men to understand women. And also just the image and the identity around being online and having access to so many beautiful women. I think Australian women are so fucking beautiful. And because of online, you visually have access to so many incredible looking women.
Yeah.
Men think, oh, well, there's so much available and I don't need to work hard anymore because I can just send someone a message and instantly be connected with them.
Yeah.
And so meeting someone in person and then going on dates isn't a thing anymore, which I found so disjointing because I had gone from dating as a teenager to then never being on a date and going on one now. It's just someone messages you on Instagram and there's almost a whole pop psychology behind it too. If someone likes this, it means this. And then if they follow you but then unfollow you, it means this. And I'm like, what the fuck, man?
They fire emoji your story.
What is this shit? What is this? And I just feel like we've developed into almost these image-driven fucking digital daters.
This man in fucking America sent me a photo of him. You know how you can press the draw button?
Yeah.
He wrote thinking of you and sent me it on his photo of him and sent it to me. This is a very successful established man. I messaged him back and I said, roses still work.
I don't know. It's a wild world, but I also feel like create what you're missing.
Yeah.
Create what you're missing. If you're dating someone and old school shit is your vibe, invite them on that then.
Yeah.
I also feel like, yes, having your partner or someone else take the lead is important.
Yeah.
But also, if you're wanting to try something different, don't be afraid to do it.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid to message someone right, pick me up at this time. We're going to do something fun.
Yeah.
And they're like, what the fuck? And we go, and it's just a random adventure day, or we're going to, mini golf, or we're going out for a certain meal somewhere, or down to do an
Terry Black's
activity.
barbecue.
Yeah,
Brisket down the face.
like brisket, big brisket.
I love that. Create what you're desiring. It's kind of like, I love men approaching me. I think, and I will never shut them down. And I think that's something that we get to take responsibility for as women.
Yeah.
If we want men to approach, even if you're not interested, if he has the courage to, when we're asking for that now,
Yeah.
and men are saying, women are bitches, Perth women are bitches, Perth women are so
Correct.
pretty but so stuck up. If a man does have the courage to approach, I celebrate him. Men really thrive on celebration.
Yeah.
So imagine he comes up to me and I'm a no, but I shoot him down nastily. If he next sees you and wants to approach, he's not going to do that.
Correct.
If he just keeps getting, because I was actually saying this to my sister yesterday, we're beautiful women. I'm used to men coming up to me all the time. It would be so interesting being a man and just getting no after no after no after no, like leave me alone, leave me alone, leave me alone, leave me alone. Even when I got to America, my friend was like, all this attention you're getting, women now don't like it. American women, they'll just look at the floor because they're so sick of it. It's such a different experience, woman to man. But what I do to create that experience is I don't pursue, but I drop my feminine energy. So if I saw a man in public, I wouldn't go over and be like, I wonder, can I find him on Instagram and send him a DM or like double tap his picture? That's not me. I'd be like, hey, you have the most beautiful eyes. And then I'd walk away.
Correct. It's leaving a subtle breadcrumb to go, I'm opening myself up to you.
Yeah.
It's leaving that little breadcrumb.
Yeah.
But again, it's showing that courage, because if you want to be the receiver of energy that you're wanting, you have to be willing to put some of that energy out there too.
Yeah.
You can't just sit in your house twiddling your thumbs being like, I want to attract this person into my life. If you're not willing to get out there, get in the arena and start doing the things that you're craving as well. Like romanticize your friends.
Yeah.
I romanticize all my friends and the people that I love, because I'm like, okay, well, if I want more of that in my life, if I want to attract that into my life, there's a part of me that needs to be creating it still.
Yeah, I love that. So I know, to full circle this beautiful conversation, we started at the beginning around women, walking around, head in the sand, pulseless pussy. And now you even just spoke about receptivity.
Yes.
If you're wanting to be in that and using SASS or some kind of method as a way to activate your receptivity. If a woman was listening to this episode right now and she was like, okay, I've left the partner, or potentially I am, or I'm going to make it work. I'm definitely not advocating leave your partner. I'm saying choose from your woman. If he's it, you stay. If he's not it, then no.
Yeah.
She's then heard our dating experiences and the fun and the excitement and the juice and the pleasure and the boundaries. If she's listening to this and wondering, like, how do I activate my receptivity? How do I activate my aliveness? What would you say to her?
You need to sit with yourself and write down the things that give you that pulse.
Yes.
A list of moments, people, flowers, food, countries.
Pink roses and brisket.
Right?
Barley. Argentinian
You
men.
need to compile a list of this list gives my pussy a pulse.
Yeah.
It's getting clear on all of the aspects of life that make you feel alive. You need to get clear, because for a lot of the time when we're in the mud, when we're trudging through the mud and we know we want something more and we're following that guide, and then we're just going through the whole shitstorm of change, you finally get to this clearing, and it's a clearing. It's blank again. And then we go, I don't have an identity anymore because everything I've ever known is now fucking different.
Yeah.
Amazing. Blank canvas, baby. Picasso that shit up. Start writing down, start getting clear on the things that make your body feel like they are starting to fizz.
Yeah.
Yeah? Small and big.
Yeah.
Having candles in your house, buying yourself flowers every week, calling a girlfriend for an hour once a week to just completely have a heart-to-heart.
Yeah.
Booking the holiday to fucking Cambodia.
Yeah.
Going to Europe. Going, you know what, I'm going to a single night tonight on my own.
Yeah.
I'm going on a sober date. Writing the things down that scare the shit out of you, but they also make you feel intrigued and curious and alive.
Yeah.
And starting to tick them off the list.
Yeah.
Because that will put a defibrillator back on your pussy, back on your body, and start to bring you back online again. And don't be afraid of the times when it gets dark, when it gets scary, when you want to cry, when you want help. Ask for help. Seek experiences. 2 words, 1 space, 6 letters. Go live.
Oh, Goosebumps. Oh, that really did give me goosebumps.
I got goosebumps from your goosebumps.
My neck's Am I having an orgasm right now? Ash Hartree, you're just, you are like a brisket and pink roses and sexy Argentinian men all wrapped together and infused into one beautiful little pocket rocket of a sexy and amazing woman. I love you. I love your work. I love your medicine. I love SASS. I love your friendship.
I love
and I'm so grateful for you to be here and for us to share this message with the women in our world. For any woman and any person in my world who would love to make their way into yours, where do we find you?
So you can find me at the SASS Movement _Perth if you want to find out about the work that I do, or the sassmovement.com.
Amazing. That'll all be in the show notes and I can't wait to share. I love you. Thank you so fucking much.